Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
A Sunday night blaze has left a woman's home a total loss, burning up not only her belongings, but most of what she had left of her two late children. It happened around 10 o'clock in the 100 block of Dewey Street in Enderlin, North Dakota, with officials saying the fire is likely due to electrical issues. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Bailey Hurley talked with a woman today who says while she is heartbroken, she's thankful for the two things she was able to save.
Sean Jackson says it all happened so fast, first smelling something burning before the house went completely black.
The TV went off, the lights went off, and he runs back in the house and he starts yelling, "Get out, the house is on fire."
With little time, Jackson says she grabbed both her late son and daughter's urns, as well as her purse, and ran out the door.
When I came back in the house to try to get more, the smoke was so thick, I couldn't even see anything.
And with 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts Sunday night, Jackson says it took over an hour for firefighters to finally put out the flames.
I thank the Lord that the wind was blowing that way, because there's no house that way, and I'm happy that it saved my neighbor's house.
Jackson says this is the second time she's lived in this home, first in 2017 and moving in again just over a year ago, adding it was more than just a house.
Right after my son, I lost my daughter to suicide. And this was the last place I seen both of them alive, was in this house.
She says while it's sad to see her belongings burnt and charred, knowing most of her son and daughter's belongings are gone is the most difficult.
As where I had all of their things, all my memorabilia, their diplomas are gone, all their clothes, their books.
Jackson says she hopes to walk through the house later this week to see if anything can be salvaged, adding she's just grateful to be alive.
It is bad. It could have been a lot worse.
In Enderlin, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Jackson is currently staying at a local hotel until she can get back on her feet. A GoFundMe account has been set up for Jackson, and you can find it on our VNL News app. Just click on this story. Organizers behind this weekend's rally say an email by the Fargo police chief proves there's no trust. Black Lives Matter and One Fargo are hosting marches on Friday and Saturday. Today, the group released an email where Chief Todd described those who participated in the May 30th march and riot as thugs and domestic terrorists. Fargo Mayor Tim Mahoney told a radio station this morning he is disappointed with the organizers for refusing to sit down and meet. Organizers say the rallies this weekend will be peaceful.
The thinly veiled racism that comes along with the use of the word thug is not appropriate for someone of Chief Todd's position.
Coming up on Valley News Live at 6, we'll have an exclusive interview with the members where they answer some of our questions. The wind isn't always our friend, but maybe today it helped cool you off a bit because it's steamy out there. Let's find out more on your First Alert forecast with Hutch. Hey, Hutch.
Hey, our gusty winds are going to continue right into the late night hours, so no relief in sight from that. And the heat, wow, it soared today well into the 90s. Your record high in Fargo today, 100, or safe from that for now. 46 mile per hour wind gusts at Hector, 51 mile per hour winds in Jamestown. Look at Carrington, 55 mile per hour gusts there. So some very stiff winds continue into our evening. Straight out of the south, the heat is on. 97 Grand Forks and Fargo, 88 Badette, 94 degrees in Jamestown. Overnight, we could see some storms moving out of the central Dakotas where the risk is higher for severe weather. Those storms may be strong, but tomorrow, a higher risk of severe weather right in our core area, the Red River Valley counties of North Dakota and Minnesota. For tonight, windy and very warm. Temperatures staying in the 90s until the 9 o'clock hour. We'll have details on that severe weather risk as we go into our Wednesday here in just a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Hutch. One man is dead after a wall of canola fell on top of him inside a grain bin. It happened yesterday afternoon, just south of Adams, North Dakota. The Walsh County Sheriff says 4 different fire departments responded to the scene to help pull the victim out of the bin. His name will likely be released tomorrow. State health officials are confirming 23 new cases of COVID-19 across the state of North Dakota. Cass and Burleigh County each had 9 of those new cases. There's a total of 330 active cases across the state. 26 people are in the hospital with the virus. That's down 5 from the day before. The death toll remains at 74. In Minnesota, the state health department is reporting 197 new cases of COVID-19, along with 9 additional deaths linked to the virus. This brings the death toll to 1,313. There are 197 new cases of the virus today, bringing the active case count to 2,563. More than 27,000 people are listed as recovered. Minnesota Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar announced the death of her father due to complications from COVID-19. Omar says her father died Monday but gave no additional information. Since her election in 2018, Omar has been at the forefront of promoting progressive policies, including most recently the defunding and reconstruction of the Minneapolis Police Department. President Trump has signed an executive order on police reform after meeting with law enforcement officers and families of those who've lost their lives in deadly confrontations with police. Critics are focusing on what the order does not address, including allegations of systemic racism. Skylar Henry has more from the White House.
Law enforcement officials flanked President Trump as he signed a police reform executive order in the Rose Garden. The order encourages police departments to collect and track excessive force complaints. It has incentives for police to update their training certifications, and it employs mental health professionals to work with police to respond to some incidents.
Today is about pursuing common sense and fighting for a cause like we seldom get the chance to fight for.
The president also met privately with African American families impacted by police brutality or racially motivated civilian violence, including the family of Ahmaud Arbery, who was gunned down while jogging in Georgia.
There certainly were tears flowing in the room, but we're hoping that beyond the emotion of it, that it will lead to significant policy change.
The president is looking to Congress for more comprehensive action on police reform. Hours after the executive order signing, a Senate panel convened a hearing on police use of force.
There is a movement being led by people who might appear from the outside to have little in common, who are marching together to demand an end to the black blood that is staining the sidewalks of our country.
The House is expected to vote on its legislation next week, but the Senate is not expected to vote on its bill until next month. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
The executive order lacks a legal enforcement mechanism to require police departments to follow its guidelines. In a statement, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called the order weak and said it falls sadly and seriously short of what is required to combat the epidemic of racial injustice and police brutality. The 80th annual Sturgis motorcycle rally will be held this year. On Monday, the Sturgis City Council voted to hold this year's event, but with modifications. Certain events that attract large crowds, like opening ceremonies and parades, will not be held. Sanitary measures will also be ramped up, including hand sanitizing stations throughout the city and disinfecting the sidewalks every night. This year's rally is scheduled for August 7th through the 16th. The Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks announced their schedule today. They drafted a team and officially introduced the interim manager. Valley News Team's sports director, Beth Houle, joins us now in what's turned into a busy sports week in the Valley. Beth?
Yeah, Andrea, busy it has been as the Redhawks and the American Association announced the truncated season Friday, and then rumblings this weekend of a shakeup in coaching staff. The club officially announcing Jim Bennett out as the manager after just 1 year yesterday. He's being replaced by Chris Coast as the interim manager. Now, Coast is obviously a major success in the baseball world, no stranger to the area or the Redhawks, and that quick recap of his resume are just some of the major reasons he's in charge as the club felt it needed a change.
Jim Bennett, absolute nicest guy in the world, phenomenal. I mean, nobody has one bad thing to say about the guy. It's just we had a little bit of different philosophy in baseball decisions to be made.
When we take the field, ultimately you want to win number one, but the recognition that we are a product, we are part of a production.
The interim tag is there as Coast maintains his commitment to coaching baseball at Concordia. He told me he can't imagine life without both the Redhawks and the Cobbers, and so unless manager and head coach could somehow both be his title, he'll gladly go back to bench coach if the Redhawks find a full-time manager next year.
All right, Beth, thank you. The fire department in Erskine, Minnesota is alerting the community about a black bear spotted roaming around town, and they have some advice for you. The fire department says you should take down your bird feeders, keep your garbage in the garage, and bring your grills inside a building. Also, people should keep an eye on their children and pets if they're outside. If you have any concerns, they're asking you to contact the DNR. Still ahead on Valley News Live at 5, after weeks of protests around the country, changes are taking place on how police will do their jobs.
It is very hot and very windy, and for tomorrow we have a risk for severe weather as we go through our Wednesday. I'll have hour-by-hour details on what you can expect right after this.